Hey guys, it's One Who Said Malicious back again. Next chapter of Dueling like a Swordsman. This time we're covering the setup, which is basically the most important part of X-Saber gameplay. The setup is made by these two guys over here. These two guys, Dark Soul and Ever's Blade, are the ones responsible of the setup, and they're basically the cards you're going to use to slowly, turn by turn, build up your hand, build up your field, and finally get ready for that big ass swarm that I just discussed earlier. Spell traps that help up with the setup, that are also key parts of the setup, are these. Saber holds right there just for the summon negation, but actually these three hold the top three spots of setup in our gameplay. We have Trap Stun for the Hewn Light plays, Gauntlet's Emergency Call for those massive aggressive pushes, and 7 Tools of Bandit for protection against said pushes. Or protection for said pushes, sorry. That was what I meant. You're basically going to start, if you start with a Dark Soul in hand, you're just going to set it. If you have like a 7 Tools or a Gauntlet's Emergency Call, you might also set them too. And then you're just going to pass around. Your opponent's going to attack into Dark Soul, or you're going to leave it alone. Or is he going to leave it alone? That all depends on how confident your opponent is, or how, unknowing your opponent is about your deck. Maybe he doesn't know you're playing X-Saber, so first turn he might just attack into Dark Soul, and you are going to fetch a free X-Saber that turn. But then if he knows you're playing X-Sabers, then he might as well just leave it alone. But you know what? That's not actually that bad, because if you have a tuner like Full Knight, all you do is just summon him next turn, flip Dark Soul. If you have 7 Tools of the Bandit on play, you can actually play a Fall Troll and maybe go for a mini swarm right there on the spot, caught him off guard. But since you already have protection. But yeah, you don't have to worry about Dark Soul not getting attacked. You just have to worry about setting him in the field and getting him in the graveyard one way or another, from the field to the graveyard. Obviously, like Foolish Burial doesn't work with Dark Soul. It has to be from field to graveyard. The other way around is Ember's Blade. If you don't have any Dark Souls in the first hand, then you draw into an Ember's Blade, which by the way you should be running 3 this format. Thank you. You just set him in, let him big attack, or you can just ram into it and then special summon a Dark Soul. You're just basically setting the field for that big push. And Dark Soul is really important attack, because Dark Soul is gonna net you Fall Trolls, it's gonna net you Fallen Knights, it's gonna net you Airbellums if you want to use Airbellum, Bashuls, Bogarts. All these things, Dark Soul is going to net you these things to the hand. And you need these guys in your hand so you can make your swarm. Now, a lot of people say, what do I look? What do I search with Dark Soul? What do I search with Ember's Blade? Well, this is what this section is all about. With Dark Soul, you usually want to search. I have a priority of tuners. Like, I would usually search for Full Knight first, then Bogart, Ember's Blade, Bashul, and finally Fall Troll. Fall Troll is the last one I want in my hand, because this guy can actually, these guys can actually help me if the situation doesn't go to my favor, yet Fall Troll will stay stuck in my hand till I can get 2 X-Sabers on the field. Now, Full Knight is actually the most important part to search, because, Full Knight's just really good. She maintains field presence with her negate attack. She also creates field presence with her, reviving effect. If you already have a Full Knight, or if you see that you have a Full Knight in the graveyard, then you can search for Bogart. But the Bogart will be you keep the Bogart in the hand, and you keep it ready for when you do that swarm. Bogart is like the first piece of the swarm. So you search Bogart, then you search for another Full Knight or a Pashul, depending if you want an easy if you want like an easy Hyundai play, and then finally you search Fall Troll. Like Fall Troll is the last piece of the puzzle. Emmer's Blade is actually like a little more trickier to explain. You know, I usually search Emmer's Blade when I know that my opponent has like a dark hole or something like to destroy the field that I currently have. So Emmer's Blade is like that insurance that can keep me, you know, that can keep the field control I want, so that I can swarm again with my other Fall Trolls and my other Bogart Knights that I have in the deck still. So yeah, you basically, if you really expect, like, if your opponent hasn't used Torrential Tribute or Dark Hole or Monster Reborn, it is good advice to search for an Emmer's Blade and just keep him in your hand in case you don't have one. Like, just having one in your hand just in case your opponent pulls out a Dark Hole or something, so you can easily recover after that, you know, in the aftermath of such a power move. And basically, let's see what else. You know, the setup, like, you gotta be very careful with what cards you set. You know, especially with decks that have a lot of back row hate, like for example Black Wings or Plants. You know, don't set Gotham's Emergency Call, especially if you're running like 2 or 1, just because. You know, it's not. Yeah, I don't recommend that. I set it just because I run 3 and I don't care of losing 1. But then when I lose 1, I already start getting a little bit careful with my Gotham's Emergency Calls, because these cards are really important. Like, you could set maybe 7 tools or, I don't know, a Saber Hole to bluff some stuff. But yeah, you gotta be very careful. Maybe a Trap Stun if you're running like 2, you can set it up, no problem. It's like you're just wasting back row hate on you. But these cards are really crucial, so you can't afford to lose them. You know, you could set maybe Torrential Tribute. It's actually oh yeah, that reminds me, Torrential Tribute, great card to set up. You set Torrential Tribute, you set Dark Soul. And when you see your opponent makes a great play, you just play Torrential Tribute, destroy your Dark Soul, get the +1, and destroy your opponent's field. But yeah, you gotta be very careful with the cards you set up. I really suggest if you open up with Trap Stun, Gotham's E-Call, and maybe like Bogart, a Dark Soul, and some other card like, I don't know, Obstinate Goblin or something. We'll just use the Obstinate Goblin right away, obviously. Get the extra card. Let's say you draw into this. Then I will say, like, just set the Trap Stun. And I wouldn't set the God of Equal just yet. I will set the God of Equal when I get either another Dark Soul or I already have a Fall Troll in hand. Like, so I can set up the Gotham Eagle, get ready for the push next turn with that, you know, with that other Dark Soul that's going to get me the last piece of the puzzle. And basically, when I'm ready to do the Swarm, I go Trap Stun or 7 Tools of the Bandit, depending on what you run. And then I do the Swarm, I have the Gotham Eagle set, and then next turn I activate it to get my Sabers and stuff like that. Alright, well that covers the setup. That covers the basic setup. There's some cards that I didn't discuss here, like Hamster, but I'm going to leave that for the advanced plays. The advanced plays and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to cut it here. See you later, guys. Next chapter.